Hello everyone, welcome to Benevolence, where kindness matters and all are welcome to the table. I'm your host, Diaz, and first I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, liking, subscribing, and spreading the word so far. Your support really means a lot to me. So keep tuning in because I know that you are going to leave empowered and blessed. And you are currently tuning into episode 3, What's Love Got to Do With It? And today's guest is the guest of all guests. He's tall, dark, handsome, anointed, appointed, and everything else in between, and he can sing. And he's the best dad and the best husband in the world. Crazy thing, real quick, before I introduce him, is that he's rather shy, or we can say an introvert. So it's a big deal that I have him joining me today. So without further ado, we have the love of my life, my husband, Anthony Diaz, joining me at the table. Say what's up, babe.
How's it going, everybody? Glad to be here. What's up, everybody? I'm glad to be here. Babe, I just want to say that I'm proud of you for doing this. If you guys are listening, can we just give like a round of applause for Ceci, for opening up, for sharing her testimony. We all know that it's not easy talking about our past, talking about what we've been through, but we all know that by hearing somebody else's story, we know that we can get through what we're going through if, we're going through the same thing. So just give a round of applause.
Thanks, babe. Thanks. I really appreciate your support. And for those of you that don't know, he is my editor-in-chief. He has countless sleepless nights.
Yeah. Behind the works.
Yeah, he listens to it over and over, or at least a few times, and takes out all of the ums and the you-knows. So if you have heard me so far, I have a lot of...
She's trying.
Exactly. I have a lot of filler words, but I'm working on it. So anyways, but I thank you, babe. Thank you for your support, and I love you.
Thank you for having me.
Many of you know our story. But for most of you that don't, and for others who haven't really heard Anthony speak much, this is the episode. This is the one you want to tune in because you're going to be able to hear everything from the man himself. So I'm really excited to hear from him. So, babe, let's get started a little bit. But before, everybody knows you're my husband. Everybody knows you're the father of my child. You're my baby daddy. But introduce yourself a little bit. Age, where you're from.
All right. I am 30 years old.
Lies.
I'm 31 years old. Going on 32. August 17th. So real soon. As she mentioned, I'm tall, dark, handsome, little chubby. I love to sing. Don't mean to plug this in so early, but part of a group called DV3. If you haven't checked us out, make sure you check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram at Devotion3 without the E. DVOTION 3. All right, so I'm Anthony Diaz, as she's mentioned. Proud husband, father. I'm originally from New York, born and raised in pretty much Brooklyn and Queens until I was 15 years old when we moved down here to Orlando, Florida in 2001, right before 9/11. So I've been in Orlando for about 16 years now. I got used to it. I lost my New York accent. Sorry if anybody who's listening out in New York. So I'm a Floridian now. Love it out here.
And what are you studying?
Studying right now accounting. It took me about 10 years to get this close, but I'm only 1 year away from getting my bachelor's in accounting. So hopefully once I get this bachelor's degree, I could find me or have something aligned to have an accounting position afterwards and start making that money.
Yes, that's the goal. But, okay, anyway. All right, so thanks, babe, for introducing yourself. Now, we're just going to get right into it because I know many of you kind of want to know how we met. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit first of how we met, and then he's going to give you his side.
Yeah.
And then if you have anything, if I'm missing anything, just let me know.
It's actually the other way around because
it is.
Just giving y'all a heads up, I have a horrible memory, so.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. So, Anthony and I met in the year 2010. This was about, well, I'd say a little bit prior to 2010. We were already texting each other. And I noticed him because, I don't know, he was cute. No, he was singing at church one day with his brother. And we were just passing by. And I was like, yo, like, and I had been single for about 4 years already. So I was a little desperate. And I was a little bit like, I'm being honest, yo, we're getting real. So I was at a point in my 4 years of singleness that I was like, dang, like I'm the oldest of all of my friends and I haven't found the one. And I was just, I was getting tired, of being alone. And it was just, I don't know, it was like a sad moment in my life, but I did a lot of prayers and stuff like that. And then I seen Anthony, and I had always seen him around because he was just always around. But I never like put two and two together until I saw him singing with his brother. And then from there, I was like, wow, he's a good looking guy. And then like my whole tactic was like, okay, I heard he's shy. So let me try to invite him to church. And it wasn't that he wasn't going to church, but he wasn't going to youth group. And I was very, very highly involved in youth group at the time. So he wasn't going to youth group. So my way of reeling him in was to invite him to youth group on a Wednesday and see what would happen from there. So I DM'd, well, it's not DM'd. I Facebook messaged him and I asked him for, actually, I think I just wrote you an email and said, I was explaining how in the youth we were on revival and we were doing so great. Mm-hmm. And I was literally just putting it out there like, you should come because, the power of God is there, etc., etc. And in reality, I'm inviting him to youth group, but really I just wanted to get to know him a little bit more. Sorry for any pastors that are listening out there during that time, but that was like the only way because he was such an introvert and I knew that it was going to be super, super hard to like get in his life at some point.
How dare you use God in such a manner?
I had to. It was all I had at the moment. So to make a long story short, we started to kind of Facebook message each other here and there, and then finally you gave me your number. Something like that. Mm-hmm. Don't know too much detail. It's been a while.
It starts getting blurry.
Oh my God, it does. It starts getting a little blurry during that time. All I know is that I kept inviting him, and he did go once, but he didn't say hi to me. And that hurt. I invited you, bro.
I'm going to let you have your say right now.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I was very hurt, people. I invited him to church, to youth group, and he was sitting in front of me, and he didn't even say hi to me. Like, how dare you? But whatever. I was like, okay, whatever. Let's move on with our lives. I guess a few months passed, and then we had convention. And we're part of the Assemblies of God, so I was part of a singing group. I was a background vocal or background singer, and we were invited to go to convention. And this is already 2010. This is around February, March. And then I went and I sang, we worshiped, but like a week prior to that, I sent him an email or a text message saying that I was going to be there, and he should come because it's going to be amazing. Like, I tried again, guys. I tried again because, I think in my heart, I felt like this was it because he was my age. He was quiet, and I knew that I had to be with someone opposite of me. I knew I couldn't date nobody just like me. I knew I had to date somebody very different because that's how my mom and dad flow too. Like, my mom is very different than my father and they work, So I was like, no, I gotta get this. Like, I gotta get him. So to make a long story short, I invited him. He came the first night, didn't say anything. He'll give you more details on that. I was very mad at him, and that Friday I was like, you know what? He didn't even text me that he was there. He wasn't there. Whatever the case may be. So you know what? I'm done. I'm done reaching out. I'm done trying to look for him because he's not putting his part. Whatever. So Saturday came, we worshipped again, and then I had to go to the restroom. And then I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, I saw my friends. And my friends were like, yo, your boy is here. And I'm like, my boy? Like, I was already done. I was like, whatever. And then as I looked behind my friends, there he was, Anthony Diaz, sitting all alone in the back. And just a little disclaimer, prior to that, when I was getting ready, I was like, I remember saying upstairs in the hotel room, saying to my girlfriends, I'm going to meet my husband today. Like, I remember I was looking so good. I was looking so fly. And, you know, us Christians, you know, we always try to look for the one. And it was just, I was in my prime moment. I was like, I'm going to find my husband today. And what do you know? My husband was sitting in the back, all alone. So I went up to him. I said, hey, what are you doing here? Like, why didn't you tell me you were here? I was a little upset, but I was like, whatever. He was just too cute to be mad at. And then there were no seats around him, and he was just alone. He was like sitting in the back alone. So I was like, all right, well, since I kind of invited him and he's here now, let me put my anger away. Let me put all pride aside. Let me go look for a chair. So I went all the way back to the front, took my chair from where it was, and took it all the way back. And this is a convention center, so there's like thousands of people in there already. There was not one chair available, so I had to go all the way to the front, get my chair, go all the way back to the back. And then I came and I sat with him, and the rest is pretty much history, because then from there, you began to open up a little bit more with me, and we talked practically the whole night. And then I felt in my heart, like, I'm like, wow, I would like to get to know him a little better. So I told you about 2 or 3 times, like, oh, I want to get to know you. And you agreed. So we kind of hugged it out. And then that night you texted me. You thanked me for a great night. And then you asked me to hang out the following week. And then I was like all giddy. And I said yes. And then by Wednesday, we were texting already, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. By Wednesday, you had already turned that hangout to a date. And that was like our first official date. So we had our first official date, and what we did, because we were a little older than everyone else and all of our friends, like we weren't messing around, you know. And I think we both have been in prior relationships that didn't work out. And I think that this time we went in with the mentality of courting, of like wanting to see beyond a relationship and go into marriage. So on our first date, we kind of laid down the law. You know, I told you everything. Usually on first dates, you're kind of just, you know, looking and observing and trying to, but I was like, no, I'm going to tell you everything to see how you would react. And then I told you everything, and you seemed fine. And from there, we knew that we weren't playing games. Like, this is for real. And I liked you, and like, I believe that God put us together for a reason. And I think within 9 months, you asked me to marry. And then a year later, on October 15th, 2011, we got married. Mm-hmm. So that's my side of the story, people. That's how we met. So there were a lot of empty spaces because obviously you need his side of the story in order to have a full circle of a story. So go ahead and tell them your side.
All right, so here's my side of the story, the true side.
What?
I'm just kidding.
It's not the true side.
Nah. So all right. So I met Ceci. I remember seeing Ceci when she came on with her parents to Calvary, which was a long time ago. What year was that?
2005.
2005. And I always remember Ceci because obviously, you know, she was beautiful. And I've said this before in our wedding video, but I said I always remember Ceci by being the girl that's saying, "Mary, did you know?" Because I always remember that one time that in church I was looking up at her singing, "Mary, did you know?" on the altar, and I thought, wow, she had a beautiful voice, you know, and I knew how beautiful she was. So, you know, that's, you know, maybe that was just God putting a seed right there in my heart. But years later, where should I go from here?
Just jump to 2010. A little prior to that.
Okay. All right. So years later, going to, 2010, a little bit before, when she mentioned that she was sent me the message on Facebook, So I got that Facebook message, talking about how a revival was happening, and she was inviting me to YX. How they had a new young adult group, going on, and I got the message, but I wasn't thinking like anything of it. Like it seemed like, for all I know, it was like a mass email to
You thought that I was
a whole
evangelizing
bunch of Christian people,
like sending out tracts.
She was evangelizing to me. So I'm like, okay, she's just inviting me to the youth group, So I remember going, and I do remember not speaking to her. Don't blame me. I wasn't like, I wouldn't ever call myself a G like that. So it takes me a while, but so I went, didn't say hi, and then from there, she did get my number a little bit after that. And we would text here and there, and I'll get into this a little bit later. But I was kind of going through my thing. Well, I would say I was going through my trial in my Christian walk during this time. So that pretty much clouded, my eyes and my vision of, really seeing Ceci and the potential that, she had. And so going through what I went through, there was moments where I remember you were even doing a play with my dad.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, I was the teacher, and he was like the janitor.
Uh-huh. So
yeah.
you and my dad, already had that relationship going and starting. And
I had a relationship with your parents prior to meeting you.
Yes. So. And there was even, she didn't mention this because she hates mentioning this. And but it was the New Year's. I think it was New Year's of 2010.
Oh my God, I don't even want to talk about it. No, it was like, 2009 to 2010.
Yeah, it was around that same time. So it's New Year's. So you know how at the end of the service, everybody's going on the altar to take their pictures. So I take my pictures with my family. And then my mom, some of you guys know, like how your mom could be annoying at times. So my mom's like, out of the blue, oh, take a picture with her. Take a picture with Ceci. Because I think you had to take a picture with my dad.
I took a picture with your dad.
Oh, that's so funny. So you took a picture with my dad.
You're a freaking creep, bro.
You took a picture with my dad.
You're a creep.
Listen, let me talk. I'll let you talk. This is my side. You missed your opportunity.
It's terrible.
All right, so she took a picture with my dad. And my mom was like, go take a picture with her. I'm like, Ma, I don't even know her like that. Like who? Why would I randomly take a picture with somebody on New Year's Eve?
We were texting prior.
Like it wasn't that much. It was
true.
Hello from afar. But anyway, so yeah, I know you hate mentioning that, but
yeah, because I felt like crap. I was like, here's the moment where I can actually have a picture.
Yeah. So.
And you didn't even do it.
All right. So I was going through my stuff. About a month or two after that, as she mentioned, there was a youth convention. Mind you, I wasn't even planning on going to this youth convention. I could thank again my mom for for getting me tickets. I remember being at home and my mom was like, "Hey, honey, I bought you tickets to go to the youth convention because Noel Jones is going to be there." And I'm like, "Wow, why would you buy me youth tickets?" Like right now, at the time she's struggling, money wise, financially. And she invested in me to go to this youth convention. I remember being mad at her at the time, but I suck it up. And I was like, all right, you know what? You already bought the tickets. Let me go. At the same time, Ceci, was inviting me to go as well. And so the Friday night, the first night, I do go. And as she mentioned, I didn't say hi to her or I didn't text her. But my excuse, and being real, is that my phone died. My phone died when I was there, so I didn't get an opportunity to text her. I think I did see you from afar because you were singing with the group and everything. But as she mentioned in the beginning of this podcast, I am a shy guy, so I wasn't gonna go out my way and go say hi. So I was by myself, so I went by myself. I left by myself, and that was it for night one. So I go again night two. I'm sitting in the back because it's packed. I get there a little bit late, but I'm there. I'm by myself. I see them singing. I see her doing the thing, and then a little bit later, I look to my right and I see Ceci and my boy Heck. Say what's up to him. I say hi to Ceci. And she gives me a nice hug. Not one of those church hugs. It's like
It wasn't a side hug, no.
No side hugs. So she said hi to me. She gave me a hug. And she asked me, you sitting by yourself? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, no, come sit with us. And I'm like, no. Don't worry. Trust me, I'm good. I'll sit back here, And the next thing you know is like, she's gone. And next thing you know, I look to my left and I see Ceci coming down with a chair. And I'm like, oh my goodness. No, she didn't. Like, she brought a chair. And that's when it clicked. That's when it hit me. That's when the G started coming out. Like,
that's when the what?
That's when the G started coming out. Then I was like, okay. I got her in the bag.
What do you mean?
I had you in the bag.
You didn't have me in no bag. I had you in the bag. I got you in the bag.
We had each other in the bag. So at that point, that's when it opened up. It clicked for me. And at that point, I opened up to her. I started, talking more. I started getting out of my shell. So, sorry to say, but throughout most of the service, we were talking.
Yeah.
Just starting to get to know each other. And by the time the service was finished and done, we hugged, like a couple times, to say bye. And we're like, we want to get to know you, And I felt the same way. It was mutual, we wanted to get to know each other. So we text, afterwards and set up a date the next week. What did we do? We went to Fridays.
Mm-hmm. Mini golfing.
We went mini golfing.
And you took me to the boardwalk.
And then we went to boardwalk. So as Ceci mentioned, we took a walk, a stroll. That was when we laid it all out. She opened up about her past. I opened up about my past. We laid it all out there. Told each other what we were expecting, for the future and what we were looking for in our husband or in our wife. And we both, just saw eye to eye at that point and, saw potential in each other moving forward. So on the way out, we held hands for the first time, and it was just, a great date night. And I think soon after that, maybe a week or two, you went to the movies with me and my family. I invited you to come with us. And everything just started going, real fast after that. Yeah.
Then you asked me out. And then
asked you out.
That was it.
March 28th.
March 28th, 2010.
2010. At a Steak and Shake.
At a Steak and Shake, yeah.
Sang her a little song.
And then from there, we started to plan. We were pre-planning before we were engaged. Because we knew that...
Yeah, we knew. We started already looking to see where we might want to get married. And she always had the dream of getting married on a beach.
Yeah. So that dream came true, and we got married. We actually got engaged the day after Thanksgiving, 2010.
Yeah, because you was expecting it.
Exactly.
It's hard to propose when the girl's expecting it.
Yeah. So you totally got me the next day, which was Black Friday. And then, how much time, how many months in between from dating, in the dating to the engagement? How many months is that?
Like 7-8 months.
Yeah, we were only dating for 7-8 months, but please keep in mind that we were like older.
Yeah, we were mature.
We were more mature. We had gone through things prior to meeting and things like that, and we weren't like we'll get into in a second, but we knew that this was God's hands, and usually like when you know that this is the one, like why keep why keep prolonging the dating?
Yeah, we clicked. It felt right. Our families knew each other.
Yeah.
Her family was cool. My family was cool with her, so it was right.
Yeah. So we got engaged in November, the day after Thanksgiving in 2010, my bad. And then we got married the following year, October 15, 2011. And we had our honeymoon in Hawaii and everything. So, and we've, that's pretty much our story.
Of how we met.
Of how we met. Yeah, because our story obviously never ends at this point. So it's going to be 7 years.
Yes.
This October 15th, 2018, it's going to be 7 years married. And it's been great. It's been a great 7 years. 7 years of marriage. I can't say that we didn't have our struggles. I'm not saying that we haven't had issues and clashed and argued, but it's been a blessing.
Yes.
You have been a blessing, and you can, like, the hand of God moved right from the beginning all the way till now, and
Yep.
it still moves.
Amen.
So now we have a little girl. Her name is Victoria, and we're just just doing this family thing one day at a time.
That's right.
So that's pretty much how we met, and that's his side and my version, his version and my version of the story. Now, one thing that I want to mention, a question that I want to ask Anthony is, I want you to answer the question on how we were able to stay pure during our dating season, knowing we were both experienced on both sides. So, if you don't know this, prior to Anthony, I had a relationship, and prior to me, Anthony had a relationship, and we were both experienced full term, if you know what I mean. So we went into this relationship knowing that we were experienced.
Yeah.
So if you don't know this, we did save ourselves for marriage. It was hard. It wasn't easy at all. It was not easy. But we did save ourselves so that when we got married, the first time was our first time.
Yep.
So can you give some advice on what to do, what not to do, so that couples out there that are listening, and it's a struggle. Like, even as Christians, it's a struggle.
The struggle is real.
The struggle is real. Trying to stay pure when you're experienced, trying to stay pure when you're not experienced,
Yeah.
So what are some things that
obviously, it's a challenge. Being the way we are, we are people that like to, touch and feel. That's what, makes us feel loved. So, during our dating season, we held hands a lot. Obviously, we kissed. We were able to stay pure for marriage, which was, extremely hard. Maybe it was a little bit easier for us in the sense that we only dated for 9 months, and then finally got married months after that. So within maybe a year and 10-month period, we were already married. But the year and 10 months is hard. So if you guys are going through that struggle right now, or we understand that maybe you've even fallen, it's not too late to say, right now, God, we want to commit our lives to you. We want to commit our relationship, our engagement to you, and not do anything until that time comes when you guys are married. You guys can do it. You guys do have the strength to do it. So we encourage that. To some tips and advice that I would give, as far as going out and being with your girlfriend or your lady friend, guy friend, you guys don't want to be out late at night. You should always make a time, a cutoff time, so to basically say that, okay, once this time happens, all right, you're on your way back home. I'm on my way back home, and we're not going to do anything by ourselves, which is a big tip. You never want to be anywhere like by yourselves. You want to be out in public. It's cool to go out in movies, play some games, or go out to the beach. That's all good stuff, but you never want to be by yourselves. You don't want to have a spot.
Yeah. Like, nothing good. Yeah, nothing good happens after like 10 o'clock. Like, my mom always said that. That's like a Spanish thing, you know? Like, the freaks come out at night, but freaks isn't freaks. You know what I mean? Nothing good.
Yeah. If you need to go out with friends, do that.
Yeah, have like somebody accountable.
Yeah.
Somebody who's there. If you have another couple, be accountable to each other and hang out, have double dates together, or have just friends around you. And that definitely is going to help you resist temptation, because any alone time that you guys can get is, you're kind of opening up that door.
The door to temptation.
Yeah.
And what worked for us was really the communication in the beginning, making sure that we were both on the same page. So we would encourage that to all of you guys. If you're dating right now, make sure you talk with that person, so that you guys both are on the same page, because you can't do it by yourself. It takes
No.
the two of you guys to
Yes.
say, we're not going to do this. We're going to save ourselves.
Exactly. And one big important thing is to know your expectations prior to going in further into the relationship. If you're going into marriage or whatever, you know, lay it all down like we did. And maybe you don't have to lay it down like the first date, because that could probably scare somebody away.
Yeah.
It was different for us because we were a little
just
older.
finished, going through our stuff.
So we just wanted to. We didn't want to get hurt again. We were already hurt prior to each other, and we just wanted to make sure that this was it, and we weren't gonna play any games. So, take some time with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or someone you're talking to, and kind of just express the kind of expectations you want in the future and in the present time, so that everybody's on the same page. And I think that you'll be able to have a great and strong relationship with your significant other. Something else that I want to mention is like the whole unequally yoked thing. 2 Corinthians 6:14, it says, "Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers, for what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness? Or what fellowship has light with darkness?" Now, that's very important. And if you're not into Christianity or anything like that, it's important for you to know that you have to be with someone who's on the same level spiritually with you. If someone, even if you're not a Christian, or even if you don't believe in anything, it still works the same way. Because, for instance, if your significant other is into drugs and you're not into drugs, you're still unequally yoked, because that your significant other is into, smoking or drinking and you're not. And that person can easily bring you down, and it's harder to bring that person out of it. It's not equal. So you're going to have hardships. The same thing happens in Christianity. And in Christianity, we believe that we have to be on the same level spiritually. And I always use this visual, or this example, is that like if someone's standing on a chair and then there's someone next to them standing on the floor, it's very hard to try to lift someone up to the same chair as you. It's very hard. You need a lot of manpower. You need a lot of upper body strength to get that person up. And especially if the person's like a dead weight, it's hard to get that person on your chair.
That's good.
But if you're the person at the bottom, right, on the floor level, and that you're trying to bring that person down to your level, it's so easy to do that, because just pull them down. So it's
falling down.
Yeah, so it's easier to pull somebody down than to pull somebody up, and it's really, really hard. And Anthony, prior to meeting me, you were kind of in an unequally yoked relationship. So can you, without saying too much, but can you give, just what are the consequences of being in a relationship like that?
All right, so yes, I was into one of those unequally yoked relationships, unfortunately. And I remember from the beginning, my mom would tell me she's not the woman that God has for you. But in my mind, I would just put it aside, and because I could think that I could help change her, or I could bring her to church. And there was a time where I did even bring her to church, and she started going through the classes. And I remember you mentioning that you saw those moments and it discouraged you.
Yeah, it did.
And this was prior to the whole December and prior to talking. Yep. So it just goes to show you how much damage that could affect at times. When you are with someone, because not only are you wasting time with the person that's unequally yoked with you, but you could be stopping yourself from getting the blessing that God has for you, because you're involved, or because you're not patient, or because you want to do things yourself. So it did. At the end of the day, obviously, it didn't work out for us, and thank God, I found you.
Yeah, and prior to Anthony as well, I was also in a relationship, and we were both Christians, but it was just not equal at all, and it was just doing more damage than helping each other out. So, I definitely know what that also feels like, and we did go into sin, and so did you prior. So we did fall into sin and all of that. So, it was very difficult because we were a little older. We were like 22 years old, and you wait all this time. You were late boomers, as they call it, and then you give everything away to the first person that gives you attention.
Yeah.
And it's not even the one that God has in store for your life. And because that person is giving you the attention that you need, unfortunately, the both of us, we gave everything that we've worked up, worked for. Yeah. But it's okay. And if that's happened to you guys, it's okay. Like, restoration is there, and it's a matter of just asking God for forgiveness and just kind of putting your entire life in God's hands, and He can restore you 100%, so it's possible. And, finding the one is possible too. We were both experienced, we both went through hardships and heartaches. Mm-hmm. And this kind of slides into the next point, is when, prior to meeting each other, what was the level that we had to be in with God in order for God to give me to you? You understand what I'm saying? Like, What was your experience in between the last relationship and me that God actually blessed you with me? And that sounds funny, but we always say that you always told me that I was your reward. Yeah. And I felt the same way too, because I had gone through 4 years of singleness and I struggled a lot, and you were my reward. So can you speak a little bit prior to that? Like, what did you have to do? And these are all for my single people out there. Like, people who are dating around and you seem like you're not finding the one. Like, listen to Anthony, because I promise you, if you put your mindset into what he's going to say, and you kind of change the way you look at dating and all of that, I promise you God's going to bless you eventually. So go ahead and tell them your thoughts.
Well, at the end of the relationship, I could start thinking back at all those moments that my mom would tell me, she's not the one for me. I remember coming home at night, late at night, and my mom would just be there in the living room with her Bible open, praying. So, Mom, if you're listening, I just want to thank you, because you were always there for me. You helped, you helped me, get to where I am right now, and have the family that I have the wife that I have. God used you to give me my blessing. So just going back, so I could go back and remember all the times that my mom was praying for me. She would come anoint me while I was sleeping. I could feel her putting oil on my head and putting oil on the walls, just praying for me. But it took that experience, and it took for me to hit rock bottom, for me to finally find God. I grew up in church, but it wasn't until this moment when I found God. I can remember the night where I was, in my room by myself, just being real. I was crying, I was just giving it all to God, and say, God, I couldn't believe that I had let everything go, everything that I worked towards, up to 22, 23 years. And just like that, I gave it up to someone the first person to give me that attention. And, I regretted it. But like Ceci mentioned, that restoration was there. So that night, I can remember being on the floor and just looking up out my window, and I could see, it was nighttime, I could see the moon, and just looking up, out there to space and to heaven. I said, God, I know you're out there. I know that you hear me. I know that you love me. And from now on, I just want to live for you. Nothing else in this world matters. I don't need anything else in this world. I just want to live for you. And for me, that was like the moment that I literally gave myself to Jesus. And unfortunately, it wasn't a time where it wasn't an altar call. It wasn't a church moment. It was when I hit rock bottom, and I knew that God, was there for me when no one else was, and when I felt alone. And it wasn't until that moment things just started falling as far as blessings, like left and right. I got the opportunity to join the worship team. I met Ceci, really met Ceci in that way, and things just started falling, blessings started falling, left and right.
And a lot of things that, a lot of advice that we give our friends, because most of our friends are single, is that, it sounds cliche, but you have to be complete in God in order to be in a relationship with anyone. You need to find wholeness in him. It needs to be to a point where you don't even care about looking for the one. It has to be to the point where you don't need nothing else but God. And you need to go deep with God. You know, it sounds cliche, but that's what happened to me as well. Like prior to convention, and although I was kind of like playing the game a little bit with you and stuff like that, but I was also going through stuff too. And I really, really had to give myself to God. I had to be like, God, I'm done. I'm done looking for the one. Like, I'm done. Because it seems like this is taking over my life. Like, I'm done. I'm so tired of, like, liking different boys and, like, trying to look and trying to see, you know, if this was the one or this guy was the one. And like, looking for love practically in all the wrong places. And it wasn't until I was like, you know what? I'm done, God. Like, I'm done with all this. I just want to go deep with you. I just want to worship you. I just want to I want you to enter into my life again. I want you to restore me. I want to be whole in you, and I don't need nothing else. And I remember when I said I don't need nothing else, and I meant it. It was like boom, within time Anthony came into my life. And you know, to all of my single friends out there, become one with God. Trust me, hold on. You know, it's not too late, and age is just a number. For all of my older friends who are looking for the one, you know, it's just a number. God has that person. It sounds cliche because we say it all the time to each other, but God has that person for you, and it's, you know, you just need to become whole in him, and I promise you, he will give him or her to you in a snap. So one of the last things I want to talk about is marriage. We've been married. It's going to be 7 years. We've been married. And I like when what you say to our friends, or what you say to other couples, or what you say to your brothers and things like that. That's why I want to bring it up. It's very brief because we're going to talk about marriage in another episode where we can really, really get down to the nitty-gritty about different things. But before we conclude this episode, I want you to talk a little bit about what marriage means to you. And because a lot of people, they go into this marriage thing and they have these expectations, and it's like not what they expect. And that's why, like, a lot of people divorce, and they divorce 1 year in, 2 year in, because they're not what they thought it would be is not the reality. So what is some advice that you can give out there for people that are thinking about marriage, they're courting, they're engaged? And I like what you say to our friends and in our family, because I think it's important. So go ahead.
When it comes to marriage, I always say, at least to me, marriage is sacrifice. When I think about my marriage, it's not about me. It's really about Ceci. It's about Victoria. I always tell them, and they laugh, but the theme song for me when it comes to marriage is I give myself away. Like, I sing it all the time, like in my head. And it's like, it's not about me. It's not about my goals. It's not about my ambitions. It's about the goals of our families, the goals of our marriage. Where do we want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What can I do to help my family be better in everything that we do, in a spiritual aspect, emotionally, you know, in our togetherness and having fun. So it's really a sacrifice. I think one of the biggest things about marriage is communication. I know you've heard it before, and people say it all the time, but it's so true. If you can't communicate effectively, you're going to have a hard time during your marriage. I say that you have to sacrifice, but that doesn't mean to say that you can't speak about how you feel. You need to tell your spouse how you feel so that they can fulfill your needs. So for me, if you're sacrificing, if I'm sacrificing my goals, my ambitions, I'm doing everything that I can to support Ceci. I'm doing everything that I can to love on Ceci. And if she does the same for me, that's when I'm going to get my love. That's when I'm going to feel, my appreciation and or whatnot. So if you guys are doing that for each other, then you guys can feel whole and be one. And, you know, I didn't even say it yet, but obviously, you know, having a marriage that's founded in Christ.
Yeah.
Like, that's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible says that God is love.
Yes.
And without Christ, we can't have a successful marriage, like, point blank, period.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say that if you're a Christian that you're going to have a marriage and you're never going to go through divorce, because there's so many Christians out there who do get into divorces. So it's not God.
Mm-hmm.
God's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. You know, it's up to us. We have to stay founded in Him. And the moment we forget that, the moment we start thinking about ourselves, our own wants, that's the moment where we risk it. And we risk our marriage, we risk our family. And unfortunately, that's how it is. And the enemy tries to seek to destroy families. He tries to seek to destroy marriages. So we have to, you know, stay founded in Christ.
Amen, babe. Well, that's it. I think
That's it? I made it?
You made it.
I think that's the most you're probably going to hear me speak.
Ever. So, babe, first I want to say thank you for joining me at the table today. You are the guest of all guests, the love of my life, and I really appreciate you. This has been a great journey with you. Like, you're my life partner. And I love you with all of my heart, and I thank you for everything that you do for me and Victoria.
I love you. You know, I always got your back. I support you in everything you do.
Thank you, babe. So, I hope that today's conversation has provided you with knowledge, and it gives you a new sense of awareness on marriage and dating and our story. Stay tuned for an upcoming marriage episode, which will happen later on in the season, and we'll just talk about simply marriage and everything that comes with it. But let's make sure that the conversation doesn't end here. Also, please make sure to follow Anthony. His Instagram, his group called DV3. So go ahead and check out their page at Devotion3.
No E. DVOTION 3.
Yes.
Facebook,
and
Instagram, Twitter, YouTube.
Yes, and he has a group. There's a worship group, and they go to different churches, and they also bless our lives. They have a single out there that's called Time. So if you haven't heard that song, I'm sure that's going to bless your life. So make sure that you check them out on iTunes. The song is called Time, and by DV3.
Apple Music, Google, YouTube.
All right. Well, thanks again, babe, for being here. And thank you all for tuning into Benevolence, where all are welcome to the table. Please continue to spread the word and subscribe. And stay tuned for the next Monday's episode 4. Bye.